Boker Tov, good morning. So we're going to finish up these halachot of Yain Nesech, of wine touched by a goy. There's a very common case that these halachot apply, and that is on the topic called the sherry cask whiskey. There's a type of whiskey that they are not allowed to be put in new barrels due to the fact that the wood will ruin the whiskey, and the whiskey needs to be stored in oak barrels. So the phenomenon became that they need to use used barrels. So where do they get these barrels from? The used barrels, they borrow or they buy barrels from the people who make sherry. Sherry is a type of wine made in Spain, and they also put it in oak barrels. And after those sherry winemakers are done with their barrels, they sell them to the whiskey makers. The whiskey makers now have used barrels that won't ruin the whiskey. Now the whiskey will taste better if you store it in these sherry casks. Sherry is the type of wine, and it's handled by goyim. It's not a kosher wine. So the question is, are we allowed to have this whiskey that now has potentially yain nesech or stam yanam inside of the whiskey? So is it kosher or not? So the question becomes, how much sherry is inside this whiskey? And also, if there is, so then how much do we need to nullify? How can we nullify the little bit of non-kosher wine that's inside the whiskey? So there's a little bit of debate in the poskim. Shulchan Aruch Siman Kuf Lamed Daled is a chidush that by wine the rules of nullification are more lenient. Even though in general the rule for nullification is 1/60th, the Ravad, from the Shulchan Aruch follows like the opinion of the Ravad that 1/6 is enough to nullify by wine. Why is that? It's because by wine is it's a liquid. It's a very sensitive food, sensitive drink. So therefore, any slight messing with the taste, it can ruin the taste, ruin the name, halachic name of wine. So therefore 1/6 according to Shulchan Aruch is enough. The Rama argues, and he says that no, you need regular 1/60th. So that's the one point of debate. Seemingly, if you have more than 1/6 of regular whiskey over the wine, it will be nullified. The question is, how much sherry is inside these casks? There's sherry absorbed in the walls of the cask. How much sherry is absorbed inside? This is also subject to debate. And in Siman Kuf Lamed Hey, Maran says it's only kedei klipa. It's only the outermost layer of the barrel is what absorbs the sherry. But the whole volume of the woodworth of the entire barrel does not absorb the sherry. But again, the Shach over there argues as well, and it's a debate of how much is absorbed in the sherry cask. So therefore, in combination of these two things, according to Maran, a person can make a great case to be lenient of sherry cask whiskey due to the fact that it does not absorb the whole depth, rather it absorbs kedei klipa, outermost layer. And on top of that, you could say that it's a nullified 1/6, like the Ravad, like Maran rules. However, most Ashkenazi poskim do not follow this way. If you ask any Ashkenazi Kashrut today organization, they will tell you we do not give certification to whiskeys that are sherry cask, due to the fact that there are many who debate and many poskim who argue and say no, you need 1/60th and it absorbs the whole depth of the barrel. So therefore, there's also another issue of, okay, very nice, you want to say it's nullified, but who says you're allowed to nullify on purpose? We can't nullify on purpose. If it got mixed in by accident, okay, so we can say nullification, but here they're doing it on purpose. Nazlo, they want to make a sherry cask. That's like the whole betterness of that whiskey. So Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef writes in the Tshuva that this you're not allowed to nullify something on purpose, applies by Jews. But here, who are making these whiskeys? Goyim. Goyim are making it for Goyim. Happens to be, we also are part of the market and we buy it from them, but Goyim making it for Goyim. So the does not apply to them. So therefore, that's how you go around that issue as well. But again, even Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef writes that if a person has a kosher alternative, why get into mahloket? Go and buy a whiskey that tastes just as good without the sherry cask. Why do you need this? Therefore, a person should know, according to Maran, there's a great room to be lenient. But if a person is able to, he should always buy the one that is not sherry cask and follow what according to all opinions.